What's up, guys? Matt Mike. We're in Azusa, California, and we're standing here, and we see this book. And the gentleman standing next to me right now is Tim. Tim.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? You're on the 450.
Thank you. Well, it's good to be here, and I wanted to tell everybody about my book. It just came out less than a week ago, Pioneers of Professional Wrestling. This covers the very first original professional wrestlers back in the 1800s. And 1860 to the turn of the century. So these were the very, very first professional wrestlers, and you can read about how it was all put together and how it developed from there. And I have a lot of research that I put into this, over 100 photographs, and I have all kinds of interesting facts and their statistics, you know, where and when they wrestled against who and what the results were. So just it's loaded with every bit of information that I could find about professional wrestling in pre-20th century. And I think anybody they'll love it. So if you see this, you can go to, I have a group page on Facebook called Captain Cloud Productions. Cloud is in those white puffy things in the sky. Some people mistake it and say Captain Clown, and I have to say, no, there's no clowns here. Captain Cloud Productions, a group page on Facebook. If you go to the link there, I'll send you an autographed copy. And if you don't care for my autograph, then you can also go to my publisher's website. That's at archwaypublishing.com. And on their homepage, up in the search engine, I think if you just type the title, the first word of my title, Pioneers, it'll take you to my page. So it's $11.99 and filled with a lot of historical facts from 1800s, the very first professional wrestlers, the pioneers of professional wrestling.
So Tim, when you were doing research, are you a wrestling fan? I mean,
oh yes.
I mean, well, where did your love of professional wrestling start?
Well, I'm originally from Southern California out here, and back when I was a little kid, I'm going to date myself, but my wrestling memory goes back to about the mid to late 1960s. Los Angeles, Classy Freddie Blassie, Bobo Brazil, The Sheik, and my favorite of all as a little kid was Mil Mascaras, because he could do it all. He was a great scientific ground and pound technical wrestler. He was also a high flyer, which was very rare in those times, and he had those really cool masks. So for a little kid, I never saw a bad Mil Mascaras match.
That's awesome. Now, we just had WrestleMania, and the Undertaker streak, hey, 21-1. How did I know in my household we were all just shocked.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to do or say.
Yeah. Well, I remember his entire history, The Undertaker. I mean, he's like probably the last gimmick wrestler, The Undertaker, you know. I mean, he came in at a time long ago. And but he's a very smart guy who knows how to run the business. He knows when to give himself a push and get on top, and when to step back and let other people take that spotlight. So his character never grew old. It went through many reincarnations. I think my favorite was when he used to wear the purple trim. You know, remember that, the purple trim?
Yeah.
Right. But I remember he wore a little mask for a while.
What about the American Badass?
American Badass, right. So he had to reinvent that character to keep it strong, but he knew how to work the business, and from what I understand, I never met him before, but the respect that he has for the business and all the respect that the people have for him backstage, from what I've heard, you know, classy guy, and he's had a great career. And if anybody was to ask me who's been my favorite wrestler for the last 20 years, I'd have to say The Undertaker. And so he was a class guy. I hated, like everybody else, I hated to see that streak end. I kind of wished he would have retired after 20-0, but you know, such is history, that's life, and all good things have to end, I guess.
I was just going to say, you know, good things, but you never know. Next year, he might come back strong. Who knows? I mean, there's a few names, I'm not going to put them out there, but there's a few names being thrown around that he might go up against. And last question. We were talking beforehand, before the camera hit, and you were talking about living in Tennessee, correct?
Yeah, I live in East Tennessee.
Okay, East Tennessee. Do you go to shows out there, independent shows?
Oh yeah, I've worked for a lot of different independent promotions, anywhere from Atlanta to Knoxville. Mostly, I'm kind of like a lot of these guys, just a technical director or program manager, where my job is to make sure that the shows run as quickly and smoothly as possible. Okay. So I'm running around behind the scenes like a chicken with my head cut off, making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know? Yeah. If something doesn't go right, it's on me, you know?
So my question that I wanted to lead into, the last question is, what is the difference between Southern California or California wrestling and the venues and just how the whole thing is set up to back where you were in Georgia and Tennessee?
Well, those are the good old boys out there, and a lot of respect for those guys. They're hardworking guys. Out here, it's much more lucha libre oriented, yes. You know. You see a lot more of that quick action, high flying aerial and the really cool costumes and stuff like that. You don't see much of that out there. But either way, there's some great wrestling on both coasts, that's for sure.
There it is. Guys, this was Tim. You can find him on our Facebook. We'll have our links. Find his book. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
This was Mad Mike 450 Entertainment. Boom. We're out.